What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Oh yeah, the pay-per-view of the Chris Jericho song. That's one of the only Fozzy songs I like. It's funny thinking that I knew this song for a long time, didn't realize it was Chris Jericho of all people singing. I pictured somebody totally different, but it was actually Chris Jericho. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. But anyways, this event wasn't really that special. There were some gems such as Angle and Cena. That main event really fooled everyone, and there was an animal lurking in the back. There was a cool tag match, which I'm going to get into right now. Yes, other than that, not much was going down. I was actually going to go with No Way Out 04, but just decided on this at the last minute. But yeah, if you guys want 04, 06, 08, just comment it down below. I'm going to do 08 for sure. That's one thing to know. But yes, whatever February pay-per-view you guys want, I'll do it. So enough talk, let's get into it. No Way Out 2005 was held in the Mellon Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on February 20th, 2005. 9,500 were in attendance to witness Luther Reigns put on a clinic, and the buy rate for the event was 240,000, which was down big from the 350,000 that witnessed Eddie Guerrero become champion. Funny enough, 2005 was a much more successful year for WWE compared to 2004, so there's that. Yes, this pay-per-view didn't draw that well compared to 2004. The first match was for the Tag Team Championships. Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero challenged the Bashams for the gold. Now, this one was all about Rey and Eddie. Initially, Rey had a rematch clause for the titles, but since Van Dam was out, he had to call somebody else. That's when Eddie comes in. Also, these guys were awesome. I don't need to say, but in terms of Latin WWE wrestlers, Hispanic wrestlers, WWE have yet to properly replace them. There's still a big glaring hole in there that needs to be filled. The Bashams were a part of JBL's cabinet and barely spoke. Okay, the bell rings, Danny and Eddie start things off. Eddie, of course, was looking to exchange holds with them. Rey then comes in, and he was much more quicker than Guerrero, you know, with the arm drags and all that stuff. And the champs themselves had yet to find any sustainable offense. The team managed to get things together, and Danny tried wearing down Eddie. Latino, he escapes but is dragged back to the middle of the ring. Doug comes in, you know, tag in and out, the heel process. They're cutting the ring. They were keeping him away. Eddie had the crowd on his side, but it didn't translate to much. Danny misses a top rope move, and in comes Rey. He builds momentum. Things were good for the challengers, but the ref got distracted, and the Bashams did a little switcheroo. They throw him around, bully him with a full Nelson, while Eddie's impatiently waiting on the apron. Doug's doing the work. He gets Eddie angry, and this was causing nothing but pain for one Rey Mysterio. He was just desperate for the tag, but there was no way out of the situation. They go up top, and this finally gives Rey an opening, and he makes the most out of it to hit a moonsault. Luckily for the Bashams, Danny kicks out, and they realize what's up, and it was back to work. Let's go. Rey chants intensify. The ref realizes the tad rope was messed with. You know, Eddie, of course. And Rey, meanwhile, he was getting himself into tricky situations, but manages to escape. Suddenly, though, he went berserk, got the crowd cheering, and Eddie was in. With the hell of a lot of momentum, Eddie whooped their asses. The fans were chanting his name. The heat, though, fizzles out with a double team. Guerrero was still in it. They attempt a vertical, but Rey breaks it up, and they nearly steal it. He got angry and wanted to cheat when something caught his eye. They switched again. So he goes for the frog slash, knowing very well that Danny was moving out of the way, and he plays dead. Danny comes in, and he's rolled up. 1, 2, kick out. Then Doug tossed the title to Eddie, who tosses it to Danny. It was just some confusing stuff. Ref tries to put the title away when Rey slides the other belt in, and boom, Eddie blasts him. 619 on the post. 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Basic story that got the crowd popping. I also loved how Eddie outsmarted the heels. You know, I've seen too many dumb baby faces recently, so that's cool to see. But yes, good match. Rey and Eddie were just fun to watch. These guys were very entertaining in the ring. Their tag matches were cool during this time period, so yeah. In the back, Carlito was trying to put pressure on Teddy Long because at this point, he was on probation or something. Carlito was angry over being put in matches despite his injury and wanted to do something about it. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. As for what was next, well, they had a Rookie Diva contest. The contestants for this were Joy, Rochelle, Lauren, and Michelle, who I think you guys are familiar with. The fans had the choice to vote. It was just ruthless aggression stuff. The next match was between Heidenreich and Booker T. So this feud started because Heidenreich was laughing at something. Booker thought he was laughing at his loss to John Cena, and that's it. That's basically it. He once again read a poem, and I already know this is going to be good. So lock up to start things off. Heidenreich with some strikes. Clothesline. Booker rebounds with a shoulder kick and some chops. Mike will go on to mention the incident, you know, in the back with Heidenreich. And this is when he takes back control. Clotheslines Booker inside out when he goes for a key lock. Booker battles out only to walk into a boot. Back to the same hold again. At the same time, he's responding to whatever the crowd's saying. Booker manages to escape once again and hits a spine buster. He builds momentum, hits that thrust kick, and even does the spinner Rooney. Heidenreich counters the bookend, but ends up getting thrown to the outside again. Then he blasts Booker with a chair to put the match to an end. Okay. So you're telling me I watched all of that just for the match to end in a DQ? Oh my god. He then continues the attack and tries going for a cover, thinking the match is still on, and that's it. Yeah, another DQ finish. Now, was the match good? Hell no. It was actually better than what I expected. I mean, if you could hear my voice from the beginning of the match, I was expecting something much worse, but it still sucked. It was bad. It was still terrible. They just wanted both men to look good, but refused to have an outright finish. I just don't like that. Unfortunate to not see a finish that would have saw Booker win, of course. So yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. Like, the match should have ended with a winner. It's not like it would have enhanced the match, Phil. This sucked. You know, Heinrich ain't the best wrestler out there, especially from this era of SmackDown, right? In the back, Eddie Guerrero gives John Cena some advice regarding Kurt Angle, and it was like a passing of the torch moment. Well, at least to me, because it was like Eddie was already champion and Cena was going to become champion. He believed in him, and he warned him not to tap out to that ankle lock, knowing very well that if Cena stays in it, he will definitely win that match, because Angle makes mistakes, he gets frustrated and all that stuff. The next match was for the Cruiserweight Championship. Paul London, Chavo Guerrero, Shannon Moore, Spike Dudley, yeah, I wouldn't wear that now, and Akio challenged Funaki for the title. Cruiserweight Open rules. Whenever somebody's eliminated, another guy comes in, and they repeat that process until one remains. Funaki and London start things off. Very quick and elusive stuff, and I'm just thinking to myself, how in the hell didn't Paul London do more in the WWE? There's a couple of reasons, right? Anyway, Spike attacks and London takes advantage to eliminate the champion. And he quickly returns the favor, though, by kicking Spike in the face. And so 4 were left. Man, I thought this was going to be a much longer match. But hey, whatever, right? London, though, was kicking out of stuff, a bunch of roll-ups, and it's hard to call these kinds of matches. Shannon throws London into the turnbuckle a couple of times, tries to corkscrew, but doesn't find success. London then goes up there and hits that 450 splash to send Shannon out of the match. Akio then comes in and he's quickly bringing the fight. He wasn't letting London breathe, literally and figuratively. Paul London had to dig down deep and hit a swinging neckbreaker off the top rope. Chavo on the apron was desperately eyeing a 10 count, and London may have recovered, but Akio didn't. That's very rare to see a star not beating the count of 10 in a normal matchup. I honestly wasn't expecting that. Chavo was getting arrogant because of this and going for some nonchalant covers, and he was getting himself into awkward situations. So as a result of this, he went straight to work. He went for that neck, but it didn't lead to much because Paul London had a hell of a lot of momentum. It was damn near unstoppable until Chavo himself stole the match with a roll-up, and he was the new champion. Paul London put in a shift and it was all gone. Yeah, also, is this a trend I just noticed? There was No Way Out WrestleMania for Chavo. He literally won all 3 of his Cruiserweight titles on this pay-per-view, beat CM Punk at No Way Out for the ECW title. So yeah, it might be his WrestleMania. The match itself was rushed, but decent for what it was. The crowd wasn't really that interested in it. Chavo Guerrero, once again, Cruiserweight champion. Back to the Divas contest. So they're out here wearing 2005 stuff. Joy was showing off her massage skills. She massaged Tori. And also, I should mention the fact that Tori is the judge, along with Dawn Marie. Rochelle comes in and tries sucking up to the crowd, and it worked initially, but after she told a joke, they booed. This is basically a talent contest, right? Dawn Marie mercifully removed the mic from her hand, and as a result of this, Lauren comes in and does a little dance. That, of course, gets some of the crowd cheering, but Dawn wasn't excited, though, and lastly came in Michelle McCool, who decided to make her mark by body slamming Dawn, who was clearly offended. Okay? I honestly don't know what to make out of that segment. In the back, Josh Matthews interviewed the champ JBL about the barbed wire steel cage match. He knew damn well that he was gonna bleed. He understood that him being hurt is very likely, but he's willing to go through that in order to keep the title. He's like, my body's temporary, this belt is eternal, something like that. JBL then wanted them, I don't know who, to ask the Big Show this question: what would you do in order to win that title? And called him a sideshow freak, said the ass no heart, no soul, and he's WWE champion for a reason. And on this night, everyone will realize that he's a wrestling god. JBL, weren't you the sideshow 2 weeks earlier? The next match was between Luther Reigns and The Undertaker. Jindrak wanted to be a part of the match. I guess this was because The Undertaker whooped his ass on SmackDown, but he was ejected. The feud itself, it started after Kurt Angle's proteges, both of those guys, cost The Undertaker a No Way Out tournament match. This was done in order to give Kurt Angle a bye, making him physically ready for the pay-per-view. Then Taker cost them a tag title match, and so Luther Reigns responded by blasting him with a camera on the final SmackDown. That's it. Right out of the gate, Taker was very aggressive with the strikes and the elbows. Reigns, though, stood his ground. He showed that he wasn't afraid of no Undertaker, but he ran into a boot. Taker begins working on that shoulder, successfully hits the old school, but Reigns then realized that, you know what, I should cheat. He exposes the turnbuckle, but actually manages to get stuff done without the need for cheating. As a matter of fact, he basically screwed himself by exposing the turnbuckle because Undertaker threw him right into it a couple of seconds later. Taker then hits a leg drop, and in the ring, boom, low blow from Reigns. Then he rams Taker's skull into the turnbuckle. His skull was a bit hurt because of the thing from SmackDown, the camera, so it was all coming together. Undertaker chants intensify, all while Luther Reigns was tossing him into corners. The skull was a big liability for Taker, and the commentary team made it seem like Luther Reigns was going to win this one. He managed to fight back with a slew of punches and a clothesline. He was gaining momentum, but Reigns put a stop to it with a spear. Nobody had the outright advantage at this point. Back and forth stuff until Taker ends up hitting the snake eyes, a boot, and a choke slam. Tombstone wasn't it though because Reigns hit the crossroads. Taker ends up countering the second one into a DDT before hitting the Tombstone pile driver, and that's all she wrote. If it was much shorter, I feel it would have been much better. You know, this match was about 15 minutes. Yeah, I don't remember much coming out of it, you know what I mean? This was around the time period where The Undertaker was starting to come into his own, you know, the Orton matches, the Angle thing, but this wasn't it. Hey, I didn't like it, but hey, it's to be expected, huh? Back to the Divas contest, swimsuit competition. This time, Dawn wasn't in the mood to judge the contestants, so Tori went at it alone. Each Diva got 15 seconds to show off. Taz was at a loss of words for Joy's, you know, her swimsuit. Same thing when Rochelle came on. Michelle did a backflip to try and stand out, but it was all for nothing because Joy won the .com vote. And so, she was SmackDown's 2005 Rookie of the Year. That's all. I have nothing to say about this, but I certainly do have something to say about the next match. The Rookie of the Year thing didn't really lead to much. Joy basically disappeared. The only thing she's notable for is probably SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, honestly, and being Big Show's girlfriend for like 2 weeks. That's all. Yeah, these Diva things, they were happening very often in the Ruthless Aggression era, and I will dive into the Diva search. The next match is for a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 21. Kurt Angle meets John Cena in the final. So at this point in time, John Cena had a rocket strapped to his back. He was essentially guaranteed to win the world title, and so they had him face Kurt Angle in one more match to solidify that this is the guy we're going with. You know, a victory under his belt. Both men had some decent matches in the tournament. You know, Angle in particular had a 4-star match in my eyes with Rey Mysterio in Japan, and he had a bye in the tournament. He only faced one man, that was Rey Mysterio, and this meant he was fresh. Cena, meanwhile, had to go through Booker T and Orlando Jordan, and the Booker T match happened 3 nights earlier on SmackDown. One thing to mention is the fact that John Cena up to this point had yet to beat Kurt Angle, and in my eyes, Angle is his best opponent up to this point. He always brought the best in the Doctor of Thugonomics. The matches they had were pretty good. No Mercy 2003 comes to mind. Like, that was probably Cena's best singles match up to this point, probably. And his most memorable matches were with Angle, so yeah. Angle puts the straps on, and here we go. He quickly tries asserting his dominance, showing that he's clearly a better wrestler. He's trying to play in a mat game with Cena, and Taz was actually talking about this on commentary, stating that Cena should try anything but that. Shoulder tackle, side headlock, early match stuff. Angle was very persistent, and it seemed like he was 200% focused by the looks of it. Angle sucks chance intensifies. Drop toe hold into the front face lock. He was very quick in executing these moves. He was trying to show that I'm very good at this stuff. The commentary team were attributing Angle being on the offense due to the fact that he was well rested and he was in his hometown, meaning he slept in his own bed, ate at home. I just love kayfabe explanations like that. Suddenly Cena got all aggressive, tackling Angle into the commentary table, and in the ring, he gets a suplex that results in a near fall. So Cena realizes he has no chance, right? So he turns it into a fight. It makes sense to me. I mean, he had 0 chance of beating Kurt in his own game. It was rough and almost hit the FU, but to no avail. Kurt knows what's up and takes a breather. Once he enters, you can feel that energy coming from both men. They hated each other. Cena's countering stuff when he walks straight into a German suplex onto the top turnbuckle. Damn, that looked rough. The Olympic hero was very aggressive in the attack with elbows, chops to the head, and a suplex. Cena kicks out though, so he goes for a backbreaker. Once again, he kicks out. By the looks of it, Kurt was going after the neck and he was wearing down the US champion. The idea seemed to be working initially, but once Cena was at a vertical base, he fought back. Unfortunately, he was quickly schooled by Angle, who hit a hat trick of Germans, and the Germans were so bad that Cena had to put his foot on the rope in order to stay in it. Back to work for Angle. It was putting pressure on that neck, but this didn't lead to much, so Cena hits the shoulder tackle, and once they recovered, he delivered a slew of punches and hit those very impactful clotheslines to build momentum. He ended up hitting that spine buster, which got him a 2 count, and so Angle tried the German. He's like, I'm gonna go for it. Cena realizes what's up and drops him on his back, and as he goes for the FU, Angle rolls through and hits a belly to belly. Just as he goes for the Angle slam, nope, Cena hits the DDT. Then he measures him for the FU, but Angle picks the ankle, and it's in. The fans finally get up and Cena quickly counters, but there was some damage done there. See? Luckily for the US champ, he was back on offense, hitting that leg drop and getting a near fall. Taz and Cole were loving this match, and in the ring, Cena catches Angle off guard with the FU. 1, 2, nope, not enough. Cena didn't realize this though. He thought he had the match won, and as he approached Angle, the shark smelled blood and he went straight after that ankle. All kinds of blows to the leg, and it was a very, very big liability at this point. Kurt was pulling no punches. I mean, it was all about WrestleMania, obviously. Straps are on and he hits the Angle slam, and then he locked it in. Cena was screaming in agony, and even when he reached the rope, Angle dragged him back to the middle of the ring. Then he locked it in grapevine position. Cena, though, probably thought of Eddie and made it to the bottom rope, and of course this frustrated Kurt, so he kept the holding. Then the ref gets knocked down, so he tries getting a hold of Cena's chain. US champ then charges right into him before hitting the FU. 1, 2, 3. Damn! That was one hell of a match. And when you watch a match like this and see their matches later that year, man, it's just unfortunate. Like, those matches should have been better. Of course, they had a story to tell, you know, the Eric Bischoff thing and whatever. But yeah, it's just a damn shame we never got to see more matches between Cena and Angle. I think they could have been very good in the future. I really love the story they told here. You know, Cena was a success, but there was one thing that was eluding him, and that was Kurt Angle. You know, he'd never beat him. And this was for the WrestleMania main event. You know, Angle had already been to the dance, the main event of WrestleMania. So Cena had to realize his potential and score that W. He did it in the end, but he had to go through hell in order to do so. Me personally, I just think these guys would have had some great matches in 07, 2011, but hey, it was for the better. Angle went to TNA and just had a very legendary career. Yes, definitely match of the night, far and away the match of the night. Nothing came close to this one. It's definitely one of the more memorable WWE matches from 2005. So yeah. And the main event, the Big Show challenges JBL for the WWE Championship in a barbed wire steel cage match. Okay, Bradshaw had a lot on his play at this point, since he was stealing victories in every match he was in. Teddy Long, who's had it against him since the very beginning, booked him in this match. Not only that, but he had to worry about his future opponent at WrestleMania and a potential match with the Animal Batista. So that's the story. Bell rings, cage is locked, JBL straight up aggressive, but he fails to put a dent in the Big Show's face. JBL's trying to avoid the cage, but it was a formality. Like, it was eventually gonna happen, right? He did manage to delay the process, but when he tried to escape, there was no way out. So he leaps into the arms of the Big Show, who hits a fall-away slam, and this gets him a 2 count. Already, Bradshaw was cut from the barbed wire, and even when he got some offense in, there was nothing to do. He was essentially in jail, but some positivity came towards JBL's way. He tossed Big Show into the steel and managed to bust him open, and essentially, Big Show was vulnerable. Shoulder tackle from the top, and now he's in official control. I mean, look at those shots. He tried choking out the Big Show with the tad rope, and things were good. Then the Big Show bounced him off the cage before hitting the power bomb. Some guy was chanting RVD, I don't know why. And as a result of ramming JBL into the cage, he was busted open. Then the cabinet tried making the save. Teddy Long, though, notices and tries to put a stop to it. But Orlando Jordan was smart enough to toss in the bolt cutter, and boom, he connects and hits that clothesline from hell. He goes for another one, but runs into the choke slam, but it wasn't enough for the W. So JBL then comes back with a boot to the face and tries to make a run for it again, but this time he had bolt cutter, so there was a better chance of success. He cut some of that wire away, but Big Show caught up to him. They exchanged shots on the top rope, and this concluded with a Big Show choke slam through the ring. Oh man. So Big Show is basically gonna become champion, right? He slowly descends from the top, Show chant intensifies, he walks to the cage door, busts the chain for the door. Fans cheer, realizing that's it. He escapes the cage, and Michael Cole's like, Big Show is the new WWE Champion! But then Tony Chimel announces that the winner and still champion is JBL, and his reaction is mine when watching a match end in DQ. And of course, he was seething about this, so he tossed him back into the ring. The cabinet run in and try jumping him. Batista chant intensifies, and out he came. I should note they were promoting his appearance all night long. They made it seem like he wasn't gonna show, but he did here. He made the cabinet look like second-rate wrestlers, hit the spinebuster on Danny. JBL crawled to the stage wanting no part of him, but then his kryptonite John Cena appears and slams him through some table. His music plays, fans are loving him. Batista's like, I'm gonna win the title. Crazy ending, and I always loved it. So yeah, that's the match. I'm not gonna lie, it was decent. I enjoyed some of it. It was way better than what we got previously. Not the Angle match, of course, but yeah, it was enjoyable. They told a story there where, you know, with JBL trying to find a way to escape, and he did it in the end. Like, that ending, it was very unique. If you watched it live, you were probably fooled. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what if you were a Big Show fan? What would you have done to the TV had you seen JBL crawl from under there? Like, you probably would have broke that TV or something, but yeah. Decent match. That ending, it was good. I liked it. We all know what happened with Batista, but yeah. They're trying to tease that he might make the jump. And that's No Way Out 2005. Honestly, this show was weak. A few of those matches, you know, Heidenreich versus Booker T, The Undertaker versus Luther Reigns, they were bad. They did make up for, you know, with Angle and Cena. The opener was kind of good. And the main event, it was decent. In my eyes, at least. It's a little there, you know what I mean? If you were looking to watch this event, watch the Angle and Cena match. Like, I think that's the only thing you might be really interested in. The main event is not something like, oh, it's special or anything like that. If you're watching the whole event, you might enjoy it. Like I said, the match of the night was definitely Cena versus Angle. I don't know why they had the Rookie Diva contest thing. Like, they were wasting time with those. Like I said, my favorite match was definitely Cena versus Angle. So, yeah. What do you guys think of No Way Out 2005? Please comment down below. That's it for this video. Make sure you hit an FU on the like button and perhaps a choke slam on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.